Hello, everyone. It's Nikki Batgirl D'Angelo for another Bensday with Batgirl and Ben. Hey, Ben, how are you this week?
Hey, not too bad. How you doing?
I'm doing great. You know, we've been having machine gun attack worth of sales lately. Are we going to slow down anytime soon so we can recover and make some money?
That is an odd expression.
Yeah.
Um, our goal is to do a sale pretty much every 2 weeks or so. We try to make it like one concept sale a month and one something else. I know it's been concept heavy lately, but yeah, I think it'll slow down. The answer is yes. I think it'll slow down a little
All
bit.
right.
We commissioned a bunch of concepts at the same time, say 6 months ago, and they're all kind of coming to fruition at the same time.
Okay.
Um, but in fact, I know it's going to slow down because I'm starting to get the emails from production upstairs. They're like, okay, our concept artists are all free. What ships can we give them? So we're coming up with more ships.
So we've been buying a lot of ships without them actually being in our hangar. Can we hope to start seeing some of the ships that we've owned for a bit but not seen start coming into our hangar? Like the
Yes,
okay.
certainly you'll see a couple more of the single seater ships in the nearish future.
Definitely the Merlin, right?
Yeah, Merlin, Scythe, that kind of thing. Herald
Scout?
probably not. Scout's a little bit further off.
Okay.
Probably Herald then Scout, but it's all. It's I can't give the exact dates for anything yet.
Okay. And
But
at some point, we'll see updates to some of the other ships, like the Connie and the Avenger and other ones, to the
oh yeah,
new damage model.
yeah. You expect to see. We're heading into multi crew later in some amount of time that I don't want to give out.
No,
But
no, soonish works for us, right?
yeah,
And we
you'll
can-
you'll see updates to the constellation. I know they're working the freelancer upstairs right now, and you're going to see materials passes in some of the older ships too, the Hornet and the Aurora.
Cool. I love my Mustang. You and the last question I'm going to ask before we go to everybody else's is you kind of teased everybody with the release of all these starter ships, and the one ship that people want the most is the Delta. Do you think you could throw that one back up there for sale soon?
I think it'll come back every once in a while. Are we still in the pretty free fly weekend? I think we actually try it out right now.
Yeah, and that's
Um,
why I sent people out there to try it out, and a lot of people love it, but it's just not available.
and we'll bring it back in the not too
Yeah.
distant future.
That's my most fun ship right now. I know that the Hornet is like I can go up there and just tear up the Vandal Swarm, but if you fly that Mustang Delta right, it is an amazing ship to fly. I love that. David Hobbins, I know that you're not there right now, but aces to you for designing that. All right.
And tune in tomorrow to see what else he's designed for us.
Yeah, well, hey, I got that $50 all set aside. I'm not going to make the same mistake 2 weeks in a row. All right, so let's get to some of our viewer questions real quick, and well, not real quick. Let's spend some time here going over them. So Elfwin has asked us to clarify something about military spec equipment. There's still something left unclear, and it's for quite some time. And what he's saying is, while the base ship, for example, the Gemini, might be mil spec, I don't expect it to be delivered with military grade weapons and military grade scanners. In the past, it has been noted that military grade equipment is in the top tier of item progression and very hard to get. Get your hands on. Also, such items were supposed to be expensive, as some ships are it's supposed to be the most expensive. Could you elaborate more on this?
Yes, I think putting way too much emphasis on the term mil spec in general. Yes, there's mil spec super lasers that are the rarest ones in the verse that cost, I don't want to give a number because everyone will use that for something about the economy.
Right.
So I'm making this number up. There's mil spec weapons that are, 50 times as expensive as a regular weapon, and they're incredibly rare and they're used by the military. But there's also,
We had that
military
in
specific.
Privateer, didn't we? Where you can get like these top of the line weapons, and you really had to. Yeah.
To some degree, yeah. The biggest weapon in Privateer, it was in Righteous Fire, was it cost 200,000 credits per gun. So
Yeah.
to outfit your Centurion, it cost 6 times the price of the base ship.
Yeah.
So yes, there are super incredibly rare military things like that, like our equivalent, the F-22. There's stuff you will never get, or it will be incredibly rare if it ever gets out. That doesn't mean that everything the military requests or has produced is that way. There's military specification pillows and toilet paper and and you can go to the surplus store and buy those.
But you understand what he's saying. I think what he's
am.
trying to have you elaborate on or clarify is that mil-spec isn't going to come on the Gemini. It's going to be something that you're going to have to work towards outfitting.
Well, in the case of the Gemini, it's just the idea is the military doesn't have a super high spec for this. They want a more rugged. The military spec is, hey, we want a more rugged transport, and that's what you're getting. It's not There's nothing super classified or rare about it beyond that.
Yeah. I got beaten up over that answer last week, and I was like, all right, we'll clarify it this week. And Elfwin, I hope that helps you out.
I think everybody wants a rule, and you want to associate, you want to create a rule in your mind, but this is not the word to form it around. We're thinking in the universe rather than kind of broad game rule sense.
It's also a little early to create that rule because you still have a moving target because the game's still in development. Mm-hmm. So we don't know where these things are going to balance out. But that's a good way. And I think what he said is right. Don't expect this thing to be outfitted with the end-all be-all guns out there. It's military spec and that it's built to military specifications. The weapons and systems that are on there can definitely be upgraded.
Oh, yeah, for sure. If you want to spend, several times the cost of your Starfire giving it a really good gun that was designed for a battleship, probably, they can do that.
But that's one of the things Chris said would be fun about this. Getting the ship is only 1/10 the battle. Outfitting it is the other 90%. Mm-hmm. So I like that. And that means that you could have a ship that's not so good in the beginning and that's kick butt later on. Mm-hmm. Can't wait for that. Star Citizen Mods, guess what kind of question he has?
Angry, probably.
No. He has a question about mods. While I know, come on, that's his name. I actually watch his videos and they're pretty awesome. While I know the modding manual is a long way off, there is.
Thank God, mods to the game, not forum mods. Every time, why do I get banned?
No, we're not talking about ban questions. Those don't make it to the show, okay, Ben? Those are like, you're going to have to put in a ticket and ask Ben yourself.
Reddit, there was an egregious banning. I corrected it on Reddit, and ever since I've been getting DMs from all the people who have been banned for legitimate reasons. I want my ban on that too. No, you still earned it. Anyway.
Well, at least you didn't take the game away from them, right?
No, we wouldn't do that.
Yeah, okay, so he wants to know, while I know the modding manual is a long way off, there is precious little information available to the Star Citizen modding community. Would it be possible to release a minute amount of information on the basic ship specifications, such as airlock dimensions, character height, minimum head and crawl space, etc.? What about dummy 3D objects? Hey, James. For generic parts like airlocks.
Yes. So you're thinking, because that's how our stuff is going to come together with the modular component system. So theoretically, for sure.
So theoretically, what they're asking is, do you think that? And this is probably a question for the the devs. Mm-hmm. Do you think you can make these objects available to people so they can put them in their own CryEngine, so they could build their own mods based around those pieces, the character height, how big an airlock is, those type of things?
It's one of those. Yes, absolutely, we'll do that, but not immediately.
Okay.
That's a request we get a lot. It's like, can I have all the music from the game? Can I have the 3D models? Can I have this? And yes, we want to do that so much, but every time somebody writes in, it's a dev taking their time to strip it out of the game, and we just don't have the bandwidth for it.
Right.
But the goal is to allow you to play with all that in the long run.
Now, I suppose at some point there's going to be some major portion of the website, dedicated to the mods, the modders.
Oh, yeah.
We'll call them modders.
You don't talk about it too much, but it is a big part of Star Citizen.
Okay, cool.
And in any game, you need the support of your modders if it's going to last.
Yeah, and we're still in alpha. We're getting there. We're getting there, but we're getting there really fast now.
Faster and faster.
Yeah. I mean, Christmas is only 7 months away, and we should have Squadron 42 by then, so it shouldn't be too long after that. Maybe 6 months, 7 months after that, we get the PU, right?
I hope so.
Yeah. Okay, so Vengeful has a question. It has been said Oh, I flew with this guy. He's amazing. This is one of the days that I got all the way to 18 in a beta. And it was just Vengeful and myself. Everybody else dumped. And he is an amazing pilot. So it has been said that regular people could have their heads scanned and put into the game, either for personal characters or NPCs. The problem being is that it's labor intensive to do so. I couldn't afford it, but if other people could, and it helps to fund, why not have a pledge option for it? $2,500 to have your head scanned and used as a major political figure, $1,500 to be an infamous pirate. I thought that you guys had that head scanner that you were going to take to different cons, that you were going to
We do.
And you're going to scan people's faces and heads in, right?
Yep, that's still in the works.
Okay.
Probably not this comp season, but the next one.
So it is possible. It's going to happen at some point.
Oh, yeah.
And they don't have to pledge $2,500. They just have to be lucky enough to bump into you.
No, and I would hate to think of the game that way. Yeah, for big characters, it's going to be Chris has a very particular visual eye. I'm sure he will cast.
Yeah.
He wants to cast them himself. It seems like a weird thing to pay for. We do want to include backers' head scans. We're working out the details for that.
So am I going to have to sit down with Chris to tell him why I should be in the game again? I think he likes me. He'll put me in the game. He likes me.
I think there's going to be a point where we're going to need as many heads as we can get. Just haven't quite gotten there yet.
Yeah. If I could ever get more than 3 words out without saying hi, Chris. All right. Pythagoras, who is one of the enablers, has a question, which isn't that a great name for an organization that enables people to buy all these extra ships? We Star Citizen Addicts Anonymous, we don't cure you. There is no cure. So Pythagoras wants to know, is there any news on those space cats and dogs to make a mess in our hangars yet?
We announced pets. Pets are coming. I can't give you details yet.
We want them in the social module. No, I'm just, So one of our favorite names for someone that writes into the show, Bad Donkey. So how far along is the overclocking workbench overclocking system, crafting system? I think that's far off, right?
It's pretty far off. Its basic design work is done, not implemented.
I would love to see at least a PBR version of my workbench. I mean, I bought that thing over a year ago, right?
I think that'll all get a refresh at some point in the not too distant future.
When are we going to be able to add? Well, after social module, right? We'll be able to add rooms to our hangars?
Yes.
Okay.
Stay tuned for that one.
Okay. That's my question. Nobody else's. So Christos Okay, I'm in the world that you're in when you're trying to pronounce someone's name. Aristarchus? Okay, we'll just go for that one. And I have read many activities that would be outright dull or mind-numbing in the real world will be made entertaining activities through the use of minigames. I guess he's talking about like damage control and things like that. Scanning a system in Eve comes to mind. That was very well done. Can you give a few examples on the sorts of jobs in the verse that will be converted into minigames? Like, what do you foresee? Like, you're a designer in the game, right? What do you foresee?
I don't want to say mini games because that brings to mind something very particular, like BioShock, where you go to hack a console and you have to play Pipe Madness. Like, that kind of takes you out of the game. It makes no sense. Chris's directive for that is more find gameplay that makes sense in the world that adds a challenge to an event. So a lot of games, you get to a star system and you scan until you have the map you want. With this, you actually have to go to this point and scan on all these spectrums and this point and this point and this point. And, you have to have a particular. I've just realized this because I've read the Discovery Mechanics stuff, and I should not be talking about that yet. So let me step back.
Hi, Jared.
She says hi. Now I've lost my train of thought entirely.
That was all Jared. Kick him.
So things like repair, the idea of giving the engineer something to do on the ship, other than just like click A to fix this panel. We would want you to, find the damaged part of the ship, go in there, use the right tool.
Yeah.
If it's outside, you have to perform an EVA.
So it's not going to be tedious, but it's going to be fun. So I envision when I walk through my Retaliator, there's lockers everywhere. So I would envision, all right, the hypermodulator, whatever it is gone outside, and it's in the rear of my ship. So I have to go to a locker, take out a part. I have to go to an airlock, leave the ship, EVA over to the piece, and click on it and put the part in. And then go back in the ship and run some kind of test to make sure it works.
Exactly. And another area we do this is like the jump points, where you have to navigate it, and this is the first time you travel through it. So it's more like you're traveling through tunnels, and there's a reaction element to it. But our big rule is it has to make sense in the universe. It has to seem like something you'd be doing in this role. It can't just be, and now you play Tetris.
Right. Well, no, I like your idea and Chris's idea a lot better than what we've seen in other games that have us play mini games. I can't even remember the games where you had to continuously go up and try to play some kind of game to be able to unlock an extra few bucks that you would get out of a loot crate or something. Yeah, I'm happy with the way that you guys are planning this. John Pathfinder Acecon, he said his name is. He's asked us about Q ships on the last two shows. Guess what he's asking us about now?
I don't know.
Q ships. And what are you saying? All right, now that we can have armored cargo containers, can they be modified to mount weapons and targeting systems?
Yes. So we have the idea for the hulls where there would be a cargo container that you stick a turret on. It would waste that cargo space, but you get a turret. It's not the same as the armored one, which is for protecting cargo.
Right.
But yeah, we do imagine like a turret slot you basically stick on the end of one of your hull prods.
Okay. Now, I made fun of him. I'm sorry, John. But I think that's pretty cool. That you could have a hull that's, some unsuspecting pirate's coming to like try to take your stuff. He flies by you, and all of a sudden a bunch of turrets open up that are in these cargo containers. That makes for quite a different approach. So, pretty cool. The last one is, I'm going to go to Dr. Jeffrey's question. He's the editor here. So recently we noticed that when we join a public free flight, if our friends are already in there playing and there is an open slot, we almost always jump right in with our friends. Do you know how the computer is already putting friends together behind the scenes? We are loving it. We are loving this game and having a lot of fun with this.
I know nothing about matchmaking.
I call that luck.
It just means nobody else is playing right then. It's quite possible that some of that friends list stuff isn't there. I know the friends list has been implemented, but I would not pretend to know how they do that back end stuff.
Well, he's talking about how that worked for him, but when they were playing and I tried to jump into a game, I kept on jumping into another game that immediately, as soon as I jumped in, they knew where you spawned in. People were killing me. I don't call it free flight anymore. I call it free fight. It could be very frustrating when you're trying to shoot a video, but a lot of fun when you're in there with friends. So it's hard to balance. All right, Graham, a.k.a. Pidian, he says, with the Starfarer Gemini coming off concept and having received +1 to each of its 5 turret hardpoints, +1 to each of its 2x shields, +1 to its power point, +1 to each of its 3x engines or 3-time engines, plus armor, plus missile racks, all for $45. Can you they're asking for a comparison between this and the Cutlass. The Cutlass Blue is a $50 upgrade that really doesn't produce the same difference. It's plus shield, plus armor, plus missile racks, plus holding cells. I would say that you're pledging for the game, and it's a pledge. It's not what the cost of the ship is, right?
What was the original ship? I mean,
I said when you're looking at going from Starfarer to Starfarer Gemini, it's a $45 upgrade for a lot of things that got upgraded. But when you're going from Cutlass to Cutlass Blue, there's a $50 premium for that, and it's only giving you a shield, armor, missile rack, and holding cells.
I think people are just being too very literal about the specs.
But my thinking is the in-game cost of the ships is not set yet. Right now, the pledge value of the ships are, because we're still pledging for the game, right, to try to help get it made.
Yeah, but it's more of a rough. We have a comparative. We base the price on the stats, and they have a comparative matrix.
All right.
But a lot of it is also roll. The Cutlass is a broad multi-roll ship that you can do all sorts of interesting things with, and especially the Cutlass Blue is a roll specific. It has all sorts of gameplay elements that upgrading to a Gemini does not unlock.
Okay.
It's apples to oranges in the most literal sense.
Yeah.
I mean, I can. I'm not trying to think of I can spend $20 more to get a fancier lunch, or I can spend $20 more to get a different CD player for my car. They're so different.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I understand where he's coming off. A lot of people, and it's the relatively unimpressive, yet relatively expensive blue upgrade. You know what? I look at the blue as something different. I think that when you look at what the blue comes with, and I think you said it right, it comes with more of a difference between the Cutlass and the Cutlass Blue than there is between the Gemini and the Starfarer. For what you're going to, well, maybe in this situation, it's because the Cutlass Blue becomes a more combat-ready spacecraft, where the Gemini is giving up what it's really meant for, which is for transporting cargo.
No, I think it's just it's definitely has to do much more with the core specs. There's specs that you don't see on the backer side, including like intended population for these ships. General rarity, but also there's all sorts of other numbers: maneuverability, armor, stuff you don't see yet.
Okay.
And in the case of the Cutlass, I mean, it's just two ships that don't compare. They're not the same role. They're not the same purpose in the universe. Flying a fuel tanker is going to be a very
boring job.
Very very specific enterprise. Whereas going from one combat ship to an even cooler combat ship is a different job.
Yeah. Hey, I'm just glad I upgraded from my Constellation Andromeda to a Phoenix, because that was a huge upgrade and it cost like a whole car payment. So that was different. And we got a piano out of it. Yeah. So there's always going to be different things, and I understand where they're coming from. I don't mean to make light of the questions that you guys ask. I think that you definitely need to ask these questions, because if there is confusion, we're going to get it cleared up right here with Ben. And
I'll say, if you have like an issue with the Cutlass, just let us know what that is. We don't need to do all this weird balancing math. I know there are people who want to know more about the Cutlass Blue. Just ask that.
Yeah. And that is one of the ships that if I could get again, I would. It's just, in the grand scheme of things, something had to go for me to get my Carrack. All right, so Ben, that's the last question for this week, and I already asked mine, and thank you very much. And I'm going to bring one more thing up. I just talked to Ben, and he'll agree to this. We're going to start giving away starter packages on this particular show. And I don't know how many we're going to give away. I know we'll probably give away around 10 of them over the next 10 weeks. If you have anybody that's interested in getting into the game and they haven't been able to, just tell them to leave a comment below in this particular video. And they need to, A, create their own account, B, submit something in the comment section below that they are new to Star Citizen and would love to have a starter pack. And I will pick randomly and give the information to Ben, and we'll announce it at the beginning of next week's show. We're trying to get more people into the game and give them an opportunity. So if you guys have friends that have been on the fence saying it's too expensive right now, this is an opportunity. Ben, what does a starter ship have? Does it have alpha access or just the ship itself?
No, the starter package, the basic, what is it, $45 now? It can be the Aurora or the Mustang.
Aurora Mustang. Okay. Thank you.
You back your choice.
All right, cool. Thanks, Ben. And with that said, guys, we'll see you all next week. So y'all be safe out there, and I'll talk to you soon.